All right, welcome again, everybody. This is our RAMP Red Hot session on high-level workflow overview. So I think many of you have come through some of the other RAMP training where we were walking through different activities, clicking different buttons in the system and learning how to do specific tasks. And so the purpose of this session is really to give a high-level workflow overview. So if we understand kind of how some of our jobs in RAMP, then what happens next and where does it go from there? And so hopefully this serves as an opportunity to put some of those puzzle pieces together. And so thank you for being here. We're glad you're making the time to sit with us and walk through some of this. I'm going to turn it over to Mark. He had a few things he wanted to say before we get started.
Yeah, thank you, Melanie. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate, again, everyone taking some time to really learn how RAMP works, see all the different pieces. Part of what you're going to see today are things that we do in RSP, so it's not going to be totally visible in when we actually are live on Monday. I just wanted to mention that we're in cutover mode now. The team that is doing the cutover, I got a little update from them this morning, and so far so good. Everything is progressing as planned and on schedule, so that is really, really great news. And I know all of us are really pretty excited for what's coming on Monday. And again, there'll be some bumps, and it'll be okay because we have a whole crew of people that are there to help. We're going to be updating our webpage with some links for getting into the Zoom office hours if you need it. We're also really reminding everyone to take a look in the next couple of days at all of the training materials that are on the website. And again, big thank you to Melanie for organizing the crew that put that together. So with that, I'm going to say congratulations to all of us. We're on the way. We do have a couple, I guess I'm going to do a couple shout outs here. One, Vasanthi, the manager of our contracts team, wins the prize for being the person to take the last official action on a whisper record. She did it at 49 seconds after 5 p.m. And our second place, little sad note, goes to Nick Novak in the OVCRGE. He tried to create the last whisper record, which actually exists out there, but it was just a little bit too early. But we're on the way, and I'm going to turn it back over to Melanie because I think this is a really good overview. And again, it's recorded, so you'll be able to go back and refresh over time.
Mark, FYI, it was pure nostalgia. I was not trying to be the last one, but I was missing Whisper yesterday, so I decided to go in and just do a few last things, and that was my my little tribute to Whisper.
You were just there to say goodbye, Nick. Well, thanks, Mark. And thanks again, everyone, for joining us for this Red Hot session. So this idea came out of a meeting a few weeks ago to walk through some of the workflow in RAMP. And so I'm going to share my screen. We have a few slides to show, and then we're going to be getting into the test and train environment and demoing some of the workflow that we had promised that we would share today. So let me pull up my slide. All right, so hopefully you're seeing my slide deck. Got a thumbs up. Okay, see it. Now I have to put everything back where I can see it. All right. So again, this is the high-level workflow overview of RAMP. So the purpose of today's session is to showcase high-level workflow in RAMP. So we will not be showing specific data entry or form completion details today. Instead, we're going to showcase how records and processes flow through RAMP at a fairly high level. So if you attended some of the other RAMP training, you know that you were able to go into the system, fill out smart forms, push buttons. We're not going to be talking about how to fill out these forms today. All of that is available in those other ramp courses. Today's more high level, kind of understanding where things go, how they flow. And so that's our purpose for today. And just a reminder, ramp, again, you all know this by now, is going to be replacing Whisper come Monday. And then eventually we'll be replacing Cayuse. So the ramp project involves the implementation of the system with 3 primary modules. There's the grants module, there's the agreement module, and then the export control module. Today we'll be talking mostly about grants, and we'll also have a scenario with the agreements module before we end. So our actors today, these are the people you'll be hearing from. We've got Kate Mullen from ATP, who's going to be acting as our department administrator. You'll see Kedren, who's going to be acting as our division or school and college administrator. There she is. I'm going to be, I'm lucky enough to be the PI today. So you'll see me acting as PI in a couple of the different scenarios. Then we've got Jenny Bell from the RSP proposal team, who will be acting as herself in RSP. And then we have Andrea Zorbas from the RSP award setup team, who will be acting as the setup specialist. We've got Bob Gratzel here, who will be acting as our RSP contracts team specialist. And then Bridget Molliner, who's going to be acting, there she is, as the post-award team specialist. So the way we're going to work through these scenarios is that you're going to see us sharing our screens. And so, for instance, Kate might start a scenario, a demonstration, and then when she kicks it over to the division, then Kedren's going to share her screen and show you what she sees and what her part is. And then if I have something to do as a PI, I'm going to share my screen and show you what I'm doing and what I see. So I'm hoping that this doesn't make anybody too dizzy. We were trying to think of the best way to do this, and it seemed that if we all just kind of walk through these processes and shared our screens when it got to our parts, that would be the easiest way to do it. So just know that that's kind of how we're going to be moving through the different scenarios today. And these are the different demonstrations that we will be doing. So the first one will be a proposal routing and submission demonstration, walking through that process. Second one will cover just in time. The third one will cover an advanced account request. Fourth one will be award setup. Fifth one will be an award modification request for a no-cost extension. And then the last one will be an agreement routing or submission to RSP. And so what I'll do is, before we do every one of these demonstrations, I'm going to show a slide and just let you know what we're about to do. I'll give you the bullet points. Then we're going to do the demo, and then we'll pause and see if anybody has any questions before we move on to the next demonstration. Feel free as we move along to put anything in chat, any questions or comments. We'll be watching that as we move through. And when we pause for questions, feel free to unmute and ask those questions. We did a little walkthrough of these scenarios earlier this week, and it did take the full 90 minutes. So we'll see how far we get, but this is our goal for today. All right. So let's get started with the first one. Our first scenario is the proposal routing and submission. So what we're going to see here is we're going to see our department administrator has a completed proposal record and is going to submit it to the department for department review. And remember, in RAMP department review, that means our division or school or college. The PI is going to need to certify, and then the department review is going to be completed by the division and submitted to RSP. RSP is going to have some questions and is going to kick it back for clarification changes. Then the department's going to resubmit to RSP, and then the RSP is going to have it ready to submit to the sponsor. So that's what we're about to see. And Kate's going to be our first one to share her screen and demo this one.
All right, so I am in the funding proposal I have just completed all of the smart forms or just gone over them again. I'm going to demonstrate our little validate button here, upper left. In all of the smart forms, this is a commonality. So if you see a validate button and a list of smart forms, we should check the validate to make sure we've got all green check marks before we're ready to move on. We get that in the budget as well, which I'm not going to go into, and the SF424 if you have one for a sponsor submission. This one is NASA, so it's going to be submitted through NSPIRES. I just have one last piece, which is my chair approval is not completed yet, but I am going to move forward and send it on to division review and hope that the chair approval gets completed beforehand, and then the division will move forward. So once I've completed my ancillary reviews and I submit for department review, which I'll do in just a second here, the system will also send a notification to the PI because it has not been certified yet. The PI could have come in and certified earlier, but since they didn't, they will get a notification that says, hey, you need to go do this, and they'll get a link to do so in their email. All right, so this is telling me, this is our submit function up here. And it's, the title line is in blue, and then it'll give us any warnings. So right now it's telling me that there's a warning for an outstanding required ancillary review, which is that I have submitted for chair approval, but I haven't completed it yet. I'm going to move forward anyway and click the OK button, and then several things will happen. The first is that this will change to department review, and it will now be in the department's work list, or the divisions, the dean's office work list. I no longer have edit access, so it's a view funding proposal. The certification link has been sent to the PI, and Drew, a notification goes to the division.
It will go to the admin contact listed in addition to the PM.
Okay. And that's all that's done so far. I've completed my validations. It should be ready to go. Of course, that's up to division and RSP to review and get back to me if anything needs to be changed. I am logged in as Kristen here, just so we have an actual administrator. I am not Kristen, but I did want to do it from a department person's point of view. So this is what Kristen's actual access would be. And now that I've done those pieces, the next up is the PI to do a certification.
Great. So as the PI, I would receive an email from RAMP letting me know that I have a record that needs to be certified. I don't know if Kate or Drew were gonna push that through to me so I could show it.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so let me share. Okay, so here's an example of what the email will look like that goes to the PI. So it says my funding proposal record number, it says PI certification required. And I also have a link in here. So if I click on this funding proposal link, it'll bring me right into RAMP to directly to that record so that I can certify it. There's also a link within the email that says click here for instructions on completing the PI certification. That opens an RSP website that has some different information here. It's got a video that talks about how to certify, some walkthrough instructions, and some other links. So that will be available for the PI within that email that they receive. So they can click on the link to get into RAMP. They could also find the record on their dashboard. So I believe this is the same record. So you can see it's in my inbox. I'm the PI, it's in my inbox. So I can click the record from here. And then as a PI, I'll click certify. I'll read through the information and then I'll click OK. And we will see now that the funding proposal has been certified by the PI. So now that piece is done and it's the department or the division's turn to do their part.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, and I am in my inbox and you can see that the record is right at the top here. So I'm going to click into it. And I can see that the PI, Melanie, did indeed certify. You can also see that as a division approver, I have edit capabilities with the funding proposal. So if I were to click into here, I could review all of the different smart forms. There are comment review features here. So reviewer notes, I could make some notes in here and request the department to make different changes to the smart forms if needed. But we'll just pretend that all of the changes have already occurred and we are all set to send this on to RSP. So I am going to click the approve activity. We can see that any of the ancillary reviews that are part of this record will show here. It looks like all of them have been completed. And then if I move my little box here so I can get to the OK button, there we go. If I click OK, then you'll see that the record has now moved to the specialist review state, which is over at RSP now. So then they will go ahead and show their perspective.
We couldn't see your pop-up window, Kedron.
Oh, no. Okay.
I know. So hopefully I won't do the same thing. Because
Okay.
sometimes I do that somehow too when I share my screen. So, but you were talking it through that you said, and now I'll click OK. So there would have been the pop-up screen. Okay, so now it's with RSP. I'm an RSP specialist on the proposal team. I will share my screen and hopefully that will show you everything you need to see. So RSP actually goes to the dashboard and in process tab. And we need to go over to this tile, proposals waiting RSP assignment. And here is our record that we're working on today, the 3704. I'm going to assign it to myself as the specialist. Can you see the pop-up window?
Yes.
Great. Okay. I don't know what I did that you can or you can't. Okay, so I've assigned it to myself, which I wish I hadn't done yet, but that's okay. Maybe I'll go to my inbox and it will be there. Oh, it's there on my inbox since I assigned it to Jennifer Bell. So I'm going to click on it here. And again, like Kedron pointed out, I can edit the funding proposal. I can go into the budgets and edit them. One other thing we wanted to show you today that may look new, will look new to you, is this purple ribbon up here in the top that says grant staging. And you see when we scroll down, it follows us around. This is because this test environment will remain here for us to use and practice even when real ramp goes live on Monday. And some very smart people wanted to be sure we knew the difference, that we weren't doing real things in the testing environment. So grant staging means test environment. That's what this purple ribbon is here up on the left. Okay, so here I am, I'm RSP, I am reviewing this and I find something that needs to be changed. So I'm going to request changes here. using this activity. Again, as Kate was showing, the pop-up box, the title of the activity that you're working on in the pop-up box is here in this like gray blue ribbon. Ancillary review, the text is really large, but it's deceiving. This is what you're doing is specialist request changes. This is just showing you a review of the ancillary reviews that is now completed. I'm going to ask, can you please edit the budget to include supplies? And I have checked the box. Actually, I'm not going to check the box today for division review required, but I could do that if I wanted it to go back through all the steps. This will send the record back to the department, the administrative contact. They can make the changes and send it straight back to RSB.
And then it's back to me as the department, as the admin contact for this file. And I keep trying to change the settings for sharing instead of actually sharing. So here we go. So this will then, if I refresh, show back up in my inbox because it's specialist review pending changes by PI or admin contact. So this is now in my court to complete whatever needs to be done and submit back to, send back to wherever it needs to go. So if I go in here and I take a look at the history, please edit the budget to include supplies. Great. Then I go to the budget. I pick one. I think there actually are supplies in each one. So we'll pretend I updated that to add supplies. And then I have the choice again of submitting for department review because it wasn't forced by RSP. I still could do that. If it turns out that it's something that I would like the department, the division to review, the dean's office to review, I can submit it as an admin contact to the division. If it's just a typo or something small and I don't think the division needs to be bothered with it, then I can submit directly back to the specialist. So for today, I am just going to submit back to RSP. Say, budget has been updated. And these comments will be added to the history tab as well. Okay. The state changes again, it's back to specialist review. I'm back to non-editable. It was editable while I was making changes. And those comments that I put in there are on the activity tab or in the history tab under the activity, submit changes to specialist.
All right, this is back to me in RSP on the proposal team. I'm here on my personal dashboard, my inbox, and it's right up top here because it had the most recent action and it's assigned to me. I can go in, I can review the budgets, I can review the proposal, I can see the history to see a really nice snapshot of everything that's happened with comments. I am ready for this NASA proposal to be submitted to the sponsor, and the submissions instructions here stating that RSP is going to submit this by 5 p.m. on June 24th via the NSPIRES portal. So I'm going to click final review. I can choose to leave a comment here. Now I would go into the NSPIRES portal. I would submit the proposal in NSPIRES, and then I would come record that I have submitted it here in RAMP. And I do that since NASA is a federal sponsor. I'm going to record submit to federal sponsor. And I'm going to leave a note. RSP submitted via Inspire's confirmation number MST2233, something like that.
Jenny, is this where you would add the submitted proposal as well for like NSF or those of us in the division that do that?
Yes, did that pop-up have a place I could add an attachment?
It did.
Okay, then yes, you could add it there, or you could come back here and add it to the file here.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Jenny, just a quick question, and I put something in the chat. Can you go back to your dashboard list? I just had a quick thought. So did that sort for you on your dashboard based on most recent activity, but does there have a populated area for like deadlines? I just don't want most recently acted on to overshadow deadlines. I'm
Yes.
just curious.
Yes. I don't want to show it right now because I don't want to start stumbling around because I'm not prepared for it. But
Yeah.
yes, there is a column in the grants funding proposal where RSP will be able to filter by deadline. So there's a deadline column, and
Is
also
that, yeah, I guess I was wondering if that was filterable, like it says, so. the
yes,
general
it is
dashboard-
filterable.
Okay,
Yes,
so is that
yes.
for everybody or just RSP?
I'm looking.
Because the
So-
that didn't look like it had a created and a modified date, but not a.
Right, because that's the dashboard. RSP is going to be working off here, grants,
Got it.
funding proposal. As you see, this has the deadline.
But for divisional staff, it won't necessarily have that on our dashboard.
Yes, because you have this also. Remember, you have your own personal dashboard and you have grants.
The funding proposal dashboard. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yep.
very much. That's
Two
super
different dashboards, two different sets of columns. Yeah. All right, so that concludes the first scenario. So it's back to Melanie.
Great, thank you. And I appreciate everyone putting their questions in the chat. I think if we continue to do it that way, we'll maybe get through every one of these scenarios. So continue to put questions in the chat as we go along, because we've got people, Drew's here, Kate's in there, people are answering the question as we go. I think they've all been answered to this point. So also, these are great questions. We will add some of these to the FAQ document online for future reference. Okay, let's go to scenario number 2. So I'm going to share my screen again to walk through this next one. So the next one is a proposal or JIT request. So in this scenario, you're going to see a JIT request from the sponsor is received by RSP. RSP is going to use this JIT changes required activity to notify the PI department unit. PI department unit's going to receive that notification and then respond to RSP using a submit JIT response activity. So we're going to showcase this. I know this is something we haven't shown in other RAMP courses. So this might be new to you. And also know that there is a microlearning video on JIT on that RAMP resources website. And there's some job aids too, but here's the demonstration.
All right, JIT. So we're back to RSP. In this scenario, RSP has received the JIT request. This is not how I would go after looking for it likely, but I did want to show you one way to search that has tripped me up. And so I'll share this real quick. Name, if you're filtering by name, it's the name of the proposal. It's not the name of the person. I made this mistake earlier. PI is the name of the person. And I know for this example today, this is our demo record. Okay, so this record is sitting here in sponsor review. We received a JIT request. And in this example, this is an NIH is our sponsor. So this is a proposal that we've submitted to NIH. So this is a true just-in-time request. This is a term that NIH uses. So as an RSP person, I am going to use this JIT changes required activity over here on the left. And I'm going to leave some sort of comment, just like we do in Whisper. This is the one I lifted from Whisper. RSP has received a request for just-in-time information on this record. Please upload other support for key personnel, IRB approval, and human subject certification to ERA Commons. The full JIT request is attached here. And Sheila, this time I'll show it as I meant to before. Please respond to this ancillary review when ready for RSP to review and submit to sponsor. So I can attach the full request right here in the ancillary review. And it will show you here on the record the activity that's been performed, the comment I made, and the link to the additional information. That JIT request went straight to the administrative contact on this record, so they receive an email notification. So now it's back to Kate for the next steps.
Kate, you're muted.
There we go. Sorry. I would receive a notification as an admin contact for this, and likely I would click directly on the link from there, which would bring me straight into the workspace. But today I'm going to look in my inbox. Maybe I haven't checked my email yet, and I noticed that I've got this just-in-time response required. So I'm going to take a look at the record from my inbox, and I would go straight to the history tab to find out what I need to do. And I would go off into ERA Commons and upload those pieces as necessary, including for this one, I think compliance review, IRB approval. So I had it backwards. I had animals, but we'll do IRB approval. Before it would have said no, because when we submit the applications, we put pending. Now, assuming it's complete for this, we would say yes. And then we would have the PI or the admin contact, if they have access, update the application in Arrow and connect it to this funding proposal so that information would come across. And then that would show up there. Once that's complete, and I've uploaded everything in the ERA Commons, then I can do, if I want the division to see it, if certain dean's offices, divisions, or other units want to see just-in-times based on their practices, we could add a manage ancillary review and say other, whether or not response is required is up to the dean's offices, divisions, and say dean's office review for just-in-time. And then either add a person if I know a specific person, or the organization. So for this one, is it biomedical? It is. We'll see if it lets me do this. Yeah, I can't because we haven't updated this in the staging environment. This will be updated in the go live. So instead, I'm going to pick Kedron here. And that's how we would do another review if we wanted to do that at this point. Anytime we need an approval that's not part of the workflow, we can add as an ancillary review, similar to an approval in Whisper. So in this scenario, we're saying, I don't need that, and this is ready to go, and we're ready for RSP to submit. So I'm going to submit the JIT response back to RSP and say, uploaded in Commons, ready for submission. And if I wanted to add attachments here, I could as well. And then it will go into pending sponsor review, award anticipated, and send a message, send a notification back to Jenny. Am I right about that, Drew? Did I just speak correctly?
Yep, that's right.
All right, so in the interest of time, I'm not going to search for the record again. I'll just show you the next steps. I refreshed the screen, and as you saw now, pending sponsor review, and the history has updated here. So I can see that Kate, aka Kristen, has everything uploaded in Commons. I go into Commons, I review it. It looks good. I submit it, and then I will just add a comment here that RSP submitted JIT, oh my goodness, JIT via ERA Commons. So just adding a general comment to this record is the way RSP will close the loop here on the JIT. I couldn't add a comment here because it's already happened. And there's no further action RSP needs to take over here with the activities. So that concludes the NIH JIT scenario.
Great, thank you, Jenny. And Kate, there's a couple questions in the chat about communication. So one question was, would the PI see this JIT request, or is the communication directly between RSP and the department admin?
The PI also receives the JIT requested email.
Thanks, Drew. Yep.
Okay.
I believe without anytime an admin contact would be emailed, the PI is also emailed. I think it's at the same time all of the notifications have both.
And then the other question is, if the administrative contact is not in the office, do the department's other administrators get the JIT notification also?
Not through RAMP. They won't receive the RAMP email, but the record will appear in their dashboard if they are a proposal editor. So if they're listed on the proposal smart form as an editor, the proposal will pop up back on their dashboard since it's now in a state that requires action of the campus staff to return it and move it forward.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Drew. Right, I think that was all the questions we had on that one. So let's go to scenario number 3. Now we're at advanced account requests. So in this scenario, what we're going to see is an advanced account for a new award is requested by the department or unit. The division, school, college receives the request and approves it. RSP receives that request notification, and then RSP sets up an advanced account and reaches out to the department unit if necessary. Kate, you're muted again if you're talking.
Thank you. I'm just gonna keep muting myself and unmuting myself. And this is another case where the record will not be in my inbox or on my dashboard because it has been submitted to the sponsor and is in a state of, not a terminal state, but in a state of rest, as no one needs to act on it until we get communication from the sponsor. Since we have received communication that we are expecting to get funded for this, I want to request an advance account to hire a postdoc. So I'm going to go and search for the funding proposal by PI, because I know it is this PI, and it's Duke University. So I can also further filter if this PI had several different sponsors. I could also further filter by direct sponsor. And then I'm down to these, and this one wasn't funded, so this must be the resubmission. And now we're going to request an advance account. And as I am the admin contact for this, I have the request advance account field or activity at the bottom of my list. My justification is to hire a postdoc. I'm going to attach an email from Duke. With the Prime Award. As proof that it's going to be funded. Very slowly, it's going to get uploaded. There are 2 further fields that are not required. These are based on Dean's Office Division requirements. One is to provide backup support account if required. So in this case, I'm going to include this 233 account in case for some reason this falls through and those expenses that might get put on that account need to be moved. And any comments either for the Dean's Office Division unit or RSP here. I don't have any further comments, so I'm going to leave it at this point. And when I click OK, it'll move through the submission process. This pending sponsor review does not change because it's still in that state, but it does get submitted to the division for them to review and approve or decline. Oh, I did forget to note, there was a note that I wanted to put in there, which was that we only need 1 project number. That's something that we will want to add. I can add a comment here, or I can, yeah, it's something that if it got sent back to me, I could add, or I could go to Kedron and say, oh, can you please note in the comments of your approval that we only need 1 project number so that it does not need to go through another round in order to set up the advance account.
Okay, so I will properly share my screen this time. Okay. There, I think that's better this time. Okay, so now I am in the grants module here, and I can see that my record is right here. So I'm going to pop into it, and I will click the review advance account, which will, everybody can see this pop-up screen this time. Okay, good. And I will review the information that is in here. And I will say, yes, I approve this request. I would add a comment if I needed to for any reason. And then again, I will go ahead and click OK. And then we can see in the history tab here that the advance account was reviewed and also approved. So then we can take it back to the next step.
And that's going to be me. I am RSP and I just received an advance account. Go, maybe. I think I'm sharing. There we go. Can you guys see this?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I'm in my tiles as RSP and I am here at the approved advance account tile. So I go and I find that record. Let me click on it. And then I'm going to first assign myself as a specialist here. Where am I? Very end. Okay. And then I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to send, is this, yeah. I'm going to send this back to the department with some clarifications. Hold on. Where do I click that? Sorry. Kate, what do I, where, this one?
Yep, I think here what we're doing is we're creating the advance account and later on
Right.
we'll send it for unit review on the award.
So this one.
Yep.
Okay. I always get confused with those two. Okay, so basically I'm going to go through I need to put, for this one, we're going to request advanced award request, and then we're going to put a document number in there. It won't let us submit this if we don't. And then these are, we won't go through it now, but these are things that will RSP reviews again before it's submitted. Yeah, just go. Oops. And then I'm going to send for unit review and setup. And then I'm going to put in there project and any other comments I have. Submission. And then it's in the department's queue again.
Yes. Unmuted myself this time first before I shared, and now I have to go share my screen. There. So this should be then in my dashboard. Yep, so it's back to me. This is an award now. I will notice that this is an award, not a funding proposal. So it's in the state of unit review and setup. So as this is an advance account, there won't be a lot of information in here. We wouldn't know most of it, but I would be able to go in, review the items that have been shared. If I know things like effort, I can update effort here. And compliance review, if there's any compliance that needs to be completed. If I need to make sure the protocols are linked, I can complete that as well. And now, since I'm finished with my unit review, I can return it to RSP, or I could use an ancillary review to send it to my dean's office or division. In this case, I'm going to return to RSP. I can put comments here as well and say ready to go, or pretty much anything that you would want back to RSP. And I'm going to click OK. And then it moves to final review state and is back in Andrea's inbox.
And mute, share my screen. Okay, here we go. Sure. Okay, so we are in my inbox now. Oh, let me refresh. I'm going to find it. This is the part. Okay. And now I'm going to create the funding award.
You've already created the funding award.
I did it. I already did that. Okay.
Just hit back or exit. Yep. The funding award link is in the middle of the page.
This
Award 772.
this one. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. And then let's see, next step, now that I have it, I am going to okay. So basically, let's see, trying to activate. Submit it. Okay, next step, someone help.
Assign yourself award approver
Okay.
and award
Award.
specialist.
Yeah, there we go. I knew 100% that. Okay, good. And then I activate it. Oh.
So we didn't walk through all the pages, so it's not going to be actually able to activate, but that would be the step that Andrea would take to get the project number to appear here so that she could finish setting up the advanced account. All right, there's a few questions on this one in the chat. Drew answered one. So yeah, in this example, Andrea received an advanced account. She may have had some questions or clarifications needed from the department, so she sent it back to them and they responded. This is an additional step which may not occur for all advanced account setup. So if she had everything she needed, she would have just been able to create that account without sending it back. Another question came through as far as units and departments go. We have not done anything yet except the initial submission, correct? And that is correct. So the submitted.
Departments have also requested the advance account. They may also be the individuals who participate in award setup, depending on your local division, whether or not that gets delegated to department or held within the division. But the department so far has participated in proposal development, JIT material compilation, requesting an advance account, and depending on your unit, assisting with the award setup.
Thanks. And there's a couple other questions. Is there a way for departments to see the status of their advanced account request? If the funding proposal stays in the sponsor review stage, how will we know that progress is being made on the advanced account approval and setup?
Yeah, so what Andrea created a funding award. So the first indication of status is, has the funding award been created? And what status is that funding award in? Is it in draft? Is it in unit review? Is it in final review? So tracking the status of the advance account really occurs on the award side. And on the award side, we have that workflow map to show where it is and sort of whose court it's currently in.
Okay, and then Sylvia had a question. Will an approval of an advanced account result in an email with the new project code, or do we have to search in Wiser the next day?
So the approval of the advance account and the setup are two separate actions. The approval of the advance account, you will, the requester would receive an email saying, yep, it's been approved. It's been sent to RSP and they're going to go set it up. That email will not include the project ID, because then part two is the actual setup of the advance account award, and you would receive the project ID from SFS as you do today. To confirm, there is no notification pushed. So upon setup completion, you receive the emails from SFS like you do today.
Great. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the next scenario we have is scenario number 4, which is an award setup. So this is going to be similar to the advanced account. So the award setup, RSP receives the notice of award for a brand new award. RSP creates the funding award from the funding proposal, sends it for unit review and setup. The department completes that and returns it to RSP, and then RSP completes the award setup.
Okay, so just trying to find. Would it be in one of my tiles? No, probably not. Okay. Why? Kate, do you know why it's not coming up 3714?
Because it is an award, so it is in, or it is a funding, it's a funding proposal, it's in a resting state of no one needs to take care of this. So if we got a NOAA in RSP, the loggers will do this first part, which is that they would find the FP searching by the sponsor and the PI, and then create an award award notification received action. So we will need to search, you can search by PI if you have the if you have the spreadsheet open.
Yes. Yeah, Morgan. OPI name, OPI. Okay,
There you go.
there it is. Okay, so. Okay.
Except that you're in, this is a funding, this is a new award, so you need to be in funding proposals, not awards.
Oh, here it is. Okay. All right, cool. We're here. Yay. All right, so we're going to complete. Okay, so I finally found the funding proposal, and then I'm going to complete the award, say that the award letter was received. Some of this stuff has to be filled out. And then, okay, so then I create the funding award here. Sure, the direct sponsor is in there, and if it's NIH, it's going to ask for that. And then again, just like earlier, this is all the stuff that RSP verifies, compliance, deliverable, well, terms and conditions. So this is personnel on the award. So I'm going to skip all this for now.
This is part of the award setup instructor-led training. So if you have been through this, some of this will be familiar to you. If not, the RAMP resources page that Melanie linked has a recording of the award setup training that will go over all of those pages and who completes which parts.
So now I'm going to find myself and assign myself as the award approver. And the specialist, just like I did last time. We'll get better at this. And then I'm going to, let's see. That, right?
Unit review and setup.
Yeah. All right, and so now it's back in my court as a departmental administrator, as the admin contact for this record. So the PI and I both would have received notifications for this. And when I refresh my inbox here, maybe. Did you finish the unit review and setup, Andrea?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And there was an okay. There's
Yep.
a pop out in we hit okay.
It says designated review.
Create that under the wrong. Go looking for an award. Oh, that's right, because it will not show up in our inboxes because it goes to multiple people. It goes all to the grants administrative editors for a department. So it will not show up in my inbox directly. I'll take that email and say, okay, this is ready for me to set up. It's in unit review and setup. So I will go similar to the instructor-led training. I will go through and review the pieces that RSP did, complete the pieces that I need to complete as a departmental person. And once I've completed all of that and make sure that my compliance is all up to date, that if I have any yeses, the protocols are linked, And everything else is done on my end, including the OAR being complete for the PIs if that's necessary. Then I've completed my unit review and setup. I can, let's see, return it to RSP for completion of setup, or manage ancillary reviews if I want to send it through division dean's office first, depending on the individual dean's office workflow. For today, we're going to move it back to RSP so that Andrea can complete the rest. Completed, ready for setup. And then my comment will again be in the history tab, which is a great place for any record to see where it is in status. So you can see what's been done on the record. And now it's in final review and it is back in Andrea's inbox.
All right. And here it is. You can see it's in final review right here. And then I'm going to verify, well, so we just go verify all the things that, again, just making sure that everything is accurate on the compliance, the personnel, looking at who's the key personnel that's on the NOA, verify, just doing all the things that we regularly verify. And then we activate. And then it goes basically, this goes to SFS. If it's a new award, it goes to SFS. I know for modifications, we will do the work in the SFS and update of the stuff that needs to be outdated. This isn't going to go through, but yes. Everything.
Great, thank you. And there was a question about where those project IDs will appear in RAMP, so that people can go and see them immediately if they don't want to wait for the emails from SFS. And Kate put in there exactly where that would be. I don't know, I think it might be valuable, Kate, if we showed an award that with the financial setup or budget allocation tabs, just where those are. If we have
Yes, I have one up. Let me share my screen here quick.
thanks.
And I'll actually show, I found an active award. So the award would be noted as active. And when I come into the awards space and I view award, it's going to look a little different because I only have view access right now and not edit access. And it shows all of these in a scrollable format. So the tabs where they show our financial setup right here and budget allocations, which is these project IDs. And if you had multiple financial accounts or project numbers, you would have multiple lines here and each one would have a different project ID. And you would have potentially multiple budget allocations per project ID. So you might have 2 years here for this one, and then you'd have another 2 years for the second project number, etc.
Thank you, Kate. And I think we're talking this morning in another meeting about, I know everyone knows that there's a wish list of future updates to RAMP. And one of those is that the project numbers would appear kind of on that main page is on the wish list. So hopefully in the future, we can see it there too. Great. Okay. Thank you, Andrea and Kate. So here we've got our scenario number 5, which is now we're in post-award. So award modification request. In this scenario, we're going to see a department administrator is going to wants to get a no-cost extension on their awards. They're going to locate their RAMP award record. They're going to create an award modification request for the no-cost extension and submit it to RSP. RSP is going to receive it. RSP is going to have a question about it. Now that might not always be the case, but in our scenario, RSP is going to request clarification and then get some clarification back and then create the no-cost extension modification. So if you remember in RAMP, there's the award modification request, which is separate from the actual award modification. So this is what we're going to see here with Kate and Bridget.
Okay. So I'm back in my dashboard and the funding proposal, or the award that I need a no cost extension for is not here because it's not currently in a state that requires definitive action. So it's in a kind of resting state of the grant being active and nothing needs to be done right now. So I need to search for the award in the active award space. And again, I'm going to search by PI. It is Pamela here. So this is the one I want. It's not going to likely that you'll have two records that are as similar as this one and the practice one we used on Tuesday. But so I know it's Northwestern. I know this is the PI. So this is the one that I'm going to ask for a no cost extension on. So the end date is the end of July. And I am going to request award modification. Give it a short title, no cost extension. Date requested, full description. Need 12-month NCE request. And I'll attach the letter. Request letter, okay. Then I'm going to say this request type is NCE, and it's going to ask me a couple of more questions. Is this the first one? Yes, it is. How long do you need? I need 12 months. And once that's complete, I can finish. And it will take me back to the AMR, the modification request workspace, which is smaller than some of the other ones you'll notice because it's a smaller activity. And I'm going to submit to specialist. Comments. Please request 12-month NCE from sponsor. Okay. And off it goes to RSP.
All right, y'all. So if you've attended, we do have no cost extension instructor-led training. So we're just giving that brief overview right now. This is some overlap with the award modification requests that we do for instructor-led training. So just wanted to elaborate a little bit on that and cover that. So let's recap what Kate just did. She just sent me a no cost extension modification request. So I'm a post-award accountant. I'm just going to refresh my ramp screen and look in my dashboard in process. So I'm a post-award accountant. Right now, because it's not assigned to anyone, it's going to be in post-award no cost extensions requests in process. I'm going to sort by date requested. And you'll see it's PI Krieger, Northwestern University, American Cancer Center Society. So I'm going to go on ahead and click on that. AMR, just to clarify, is the award modification request. AWD is your award. You saw funding proposal with Andrea and with Jenny Bell. Those are funding proposals on that request. Cool. So I am in the award modification request record right now in this. You'll see right now I have a default history view of requests submitted to specialists. Please request a 12-month NCE. Y'all already know that I need to send this back to the division and get some clarification on this, because as an accountant, I need that division department review to be completed first. First of all, I'm going to assign it to myself because right now it is in the general post-award team workflow. So I'm going to sort and put in myself. And now you'll see over here on the left-hand side of my screen, I have a little bit more information that I can request. So I need that division review. So please obtain division review. So I'm going to go on ahead and click. So as you saw, I clicked on request clarifications. If I click OK, it went from review to clarification requested. And I'm sorry, Kate, it's back in your queue.
No worries. So it has shown up in my inbox. So I got my no cost extension back and I said, oh no, what did I do wrong? I can click into it here. Look, it comes up right onto the history tab and realize, oh, I didn't send it for division review. So in a modification request, similar to several of the other areas where we said, if the Dean's Office Division wants to have a process where they're reviewing actions and it isn't part of the workflow, we can add a manage ancillary review. So I'm going to add one here. That is, again, I'm going to pick Kedron because I know it's her specifically, but we could send it to, once we're set up, we could send it to the Dean's office or to the departmental folks, and ancillary reviewers will be set up as a group so that the whole group will get the review, and the first one to get to it wins. For today, it's just going to Kedron. I'm going to say yes, response required. Need Dean's office review for 12-month NCE request. And okay. It says notify no because I haven't sent it yet. As soon as I click this OK button, it's going to send a notification to Kedron that she needs one, and it'll show up in her inbox. So I hit OK. Now the notification swans off. It notes here in the history that I've sent an ancillary review, and it is in Kedron's court.
Okay, now I will share again. And here I am in my inbox. I'm going to open up the record. I would review any sort of attachments, the NCE request letter, of course. We'll pretend that all of it looks really good. And then I could also edit, I guess, the modification request if I wanted to. But we'll submit the ancillary review. You can see my pop-up, correct? Now I'm like hyper paranoid that it's not showing up, but so we can see this is what my view looks like. I'm going to say yes, that I accept the submission. And I'm going to say that the review is also complete. And once I do that, then I will again click OK at the very bottom. And we should be all set.
Okay, actually, that's back to me. I was like, I have to submit. So unless I assign submitter, and this is a possibility. Let me share my screen again here. What I could have done, I'm still in the clarification requested state. I could have, when I sent the manage ancillary review, assigned the submitter to Kedron as well, and then Kedron could have submitted the clarifications or submitted the request. But since I didn't assign her, I'm going to submit the clarifications myself. And I don't need any more comments. It's going to go back to Bridget for completion. And now it's in review and it's back with RSP.
Sorry, I gotta unmute too. I did a case there. So we are now in the review state, and we got clarifications for this. So I am pretty much good to go. This is a modification request. So this is the department informing us that they wish to request an extension for this no cost extensions for this award. So if you do no cost extensions in Whisper, this is that notification. Hey, I want to extend this award. First part. Great. As an RSP accountant, I am okay. Let's just say that I've reviewed these clarifications. I've looked at the reviewers tab to see that we're all good to go, required, completed, accepted, things like that. Someone mentioned in chat about PI approvals and things like that. Approvals can vary across divisions, so I can't give you specific division guidance on that. But any appropriate reviewers would be in here. I can also review the attachments tab and see that no cost extension letter if I need to. So I'm pretty good with this. Let's say that this is good to go. I'm going to go on ahead as accountant, click approve. And put good to go. You can do whatever you'd like as an accountant. So this is an approved no cost extension request. So I basically said that my intent is to go on ahead and move this forward on that request. This, for the sake of the presentation, is going to be a very simple no cost extension request. Our first give me no cost extension. So in order for me to be able to, as an RSP postal award accountant, to be able to do this, now that I've gotten the documented request, I'm going to go on ahead into the actual award record. I can do that either from here or on our trail for, we typically call them in the trainings, the breadcrumbs. So if you click on the award, okay, you'll see the modification request down here for the no cost extension. I'm going to click create award modification. Modification to first no cost extension. Okay. This sponsor modification ID number, this is defaults from the Huron Research Suite. If, for example, as a postal award accountant, you got a modification from your sponsor ID, you can put that in here. I'm just going to put R1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, something like that to keep things simple and moving along. Again, this is data entry by the postal award accountant. No further entry right now is needed. So we're just showing you behind the scenes what a postal award accountant would be doing. So select modification type, I'm doing a no cost extension. And then I'm selecting financial account change and other. Also, for the sake of simplicity, this modification will not affect any subaward. Right now, this award ends July 31st, 2023. So the effective date is August 1st. I clicked continue. So the financial setup for this one, I am just updating the project's end date for 12-month no cost extension. Everything else is coming through from the auto load of that. I'll click save. Updating the budget allocations on this guy. The new end date now is 2024. July 2024. By definition, a no cost extension is that extension of that last budget period. So this kind of makes sense in RAMP, right? Award date changes. If this is extending out this award, if this is not a mid-period no cost extension, the award also needs to be extended in RAMP. Because I selected other in that original modification, as opposed to word accountant, we get some modified terms and conditions. If there's, for instance, some strings attached to this no cost extension or something along those lines, then we can go on ahead and update these terms and conditions. Compliance review, for example, if you have, this is American Cancer Society. If there's an IRB protocol or something like that, Kate already showed this, but you can include human subjects, vertebra, and then include this information on that. As opposed to word accountants, we also verify that those protocols are being extended with that no cost extension, or obtain clarification that the protocols, that there's no work being done tied to IRB during that extension. Continue. I'm going to click validate. I've got green check marks, so I'm good to go. And click finish. I'm going to assign this myself as specialist. I wish, this is one of my wish lists, and Drew, thank you for attending today. One of my wish lists is if I'm a postal award accountant and I pick up this modification and create it, I'd really like it if it just took me as specialist. It's because right now I have to assign it as specialist and award approver. To be able to then see this whole modification through. So while I'm working on this in RAMP as a postal award accountant, I will also then be I'll also be then updating what we use right now, SFS, to extend out your project end dates and your award end dates on that. So I'm doing this concurrently as I'm working on it. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to submit it for final review. Doing one last check. We're in final review. You saw we changed from draft to final review. And I'm going to go on ahead and click that approve button. And this is where we can add any attachments first NCD, and then that letter, for example, that we've gotten from the sponsor, maybe I got that assigned from my manager, things like that. I can go on ahead and put that approve in here for that. So I'll put okay. And now you'll see that we've got this approved. So if we go into the parent award, you will now see that the end date is now 7/31/2024. And your funding allocation, that budget period, number 2, is now 2 years versus 1 year. That's what we got for no cost extensions.
Thank you, Bridget. And yeah, a couple of comments in the chat. This was this example. We assumed that the no cost extension was approved by the agency if their approval was needed. So that was already obtained. All right, lastly, and thank you, Bob, for hanging on for this. I promise next time we'll do agreements first. Next time we do something. All right. Let me share my screen. So we've got one more for you. This might go a little bit over 3 o'clock, but if you can stick around. And we've got one more scenario for you. So this scenario is with the agreements module. So the scenario is that the department or unit has a need for a new non-funded agreement, creates that record, requests division review and PI certification. The division or the PI certifies, the division completes the ancillary review. RSP receives it for negotiation and signature. RSP can request clarification as needed. The unit can respond, and then RSP can complete the agreement. So I will stop sharing so we can walk through this one.
Okay. I am the admin contact again. And I have created a CDA that we need for a conference with Dow Chemicals. So in the agreement space, I have completed this information as much as I have, including the PI of Melanie, who's going to display something in a minute, uploaded my agreement draft, project title, etc., and completed all of these. I can validate to make sure I've got my green check marks. And once I'm good, then I can submit. And as soon as I do that, it's going to tell me I can't submit, actually, because it is a non-funded agreement and it's not attached to a funding proposal where a PI would be required to certify and the division would be required by workflow to do something. It's telling me you have to do that via ancillary review here for the Dean division sign off. So I'm going to do 2 pieces. I can't even click OK again. I have to cancel out. I'm going to manage my ancillary review and add Kedrin so that she can complete that. Dean division sign off in agreements. This is actually a specific type. And OK. Again, it's not notified because I haven't clicked OK. As soon as I click OK, this moves over to notify. And I will also need to contact the PI in order to get them to come in and send and complete their certification. So because Melanie is PI, this will be in her inbox, but I would still have to send something to her to tell her how to find it. You can use the link that actually appears in your bar up here. You can copy it and put it into an email to the PI to let them know that they need to go complete this. And that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to put it into chat here for Melanie. And then she will be the next actor.
Great. So I clicked the link. So Kate sent it to me some way in chat or in an email. So I went directly to the record. I'm the PI, so I have the certify button again. Click certify, read through, and then click OK. So now we can see where it says PI certification complete. Yes. And that was my part.
And then I will share my screen. And so we see the agreement record here is in my inbox. I'll go ahead and click into it. I can also see that the PI certification is complete. And again, I have the edit agreement capability. And if this were real, I would go in and look at all of the related documents and so on and so forth to make sure that they are all compliant. I am doing the Dean division sign off, so I'm going to check that box. I accept the agreement, and I'm also going to say that the review is complete. And I will click OK. And again, now you can see in the history tab that I have submitted the ancillary review, so we should be all set to go from the department level now.
Okay, so we're back to me. Get my screen up here. I'm back in the record, and if I refresh it, or if the same would happen if if it's 3 days later and I come back and look, it will automatically refresh. And I can go into the history. I can see that the PI has now certified, that the ancillary review is submitted, and it's ready to go. So now if I hit submit, it will actually let me send this off to RSP. And now it is in the unassigned state, and that is with RSP, with the contracts team at RSP. And you'll notice I still can edit the agreement in this state. Once it's assigned and in review, I will no longer be able to edit that.
Okay, so now it's been submitted to RSP, and I'm going to get my screen up and running here. So in RSP, we're going to be going into our agreements module and taking a look at what are unassigned agreements. So these are agreements that have been submitted to RSP but have not yet been assigned to a negotiator. And right now it's a long list because we're in the test environment. As we get going, the list will be shorter and a little bit more manageable. So I see the Dow agreement right here at the top. We're going to click into it. And at RSP, we're going to take a look at the agreement to see if everything is ready to go. So if we have any questions about where it should go, if everything's complete and ready for us to review, we're looking at both the agreement as well as the smart forms to make sure whatever information we're looking for. So I'm looking at this first page and everything looks fine. I get over to the general information. I see that we're contracting with Dow Chemical. As of right now, there's no contact information for who we should send the agreement to. And I don't see any notes indicating that I should send it to Kate to submit or send it to somebody else. So what I'm going to go back and do, because as I'm processing these things, I need to know who I should send it to. In this case, I'm going to go back to the main page, and I'm going to request clarification of Kate. And I'm going to say, please provide us with the information for who we should contact. To hopefully get some information for the contract negotiator to know who they should send it to when it's all, redlined or assigned or whatever we're doing here. So then I'll click OK. And now it moves into the clarification requested status, which puts it back into Kate's workflow. So she knows that there's additional information that she needs to be working through.
All right, then it comes back to my inbox again. Anytime a clarification is requested, it will show up in the inbox of the admin contact. Or in this case, in agreements, they're owners. So, I'm gonna go into it. Here it is at the top. Go into my edit to get the primary contact. So in agreements, it's your primary contact is your department person. And so it will always end up in the inbox if there is a clarification requested. So I can actually go back out, take a look at what was requested of me in the history and say, oh yeah, I didn't add John Smith's information. So I can go to my general information, add the contracting party name. There's John Smith. There's his email and his phone number. And I can say in the notes, please contact John with any negotiations and for signature. Thanks. And then I can continue to the end to make sure I get to the end, or I could have saved an exit, either way. And now I'm ready to submit it back. For some reason, if it was a major change, I could ping the department to do it again, but we no longer have the ability to send another ancillary review. So I am going to submit the changes back to Bob and say, thank you. Contact information updated. This little notes is really helpful when you're looking through a history of something, even though it seems duplicative, it makes the history really obvious every step that happened along the way. So once I've completed that, the history here says changes submitted and here's your information, and it goes back to the unassigned state.
All right, back to me. So here in RSP, we're going to go into the WISP record. And one thing you didn't see behind the scenes as I was looking at this is once I've got requested clarification, it's no longer actually showing up in the unassigned state. It had disappeared from the record list. Once Kate gave it back to me, though, if I go back to unassigned, it should show back up. Let me just get back there again. There it is. So now I'm back there and it's showing up. So actually you did see what I saw, that it wasn't anywhere in my work list for unassigned. So now it's back in the work list to assign to somebody. I'll click on that. Again, I'd go back through, look at the agreement, edit the agreement to see if there's any information that I can use for my negotiations. Take a look at the agreement itself, which is located right up here, allowing me to get a picture of what the agreement entails and who I might need to work with. Once I've, as a manager, once I've made my evaluation, I'll then go in and I'll assign an owner, and that basically will put it into somebody's name to start the negotiation process. I'll put my name here for today. We will continue to do what we've done historically in RSP. I know folks are used to working with certain individuals that have been assigned. That's not changing with RAMP, and so it'll follow your normal workflow. If you've worked with a specific person before, you'll work with them again in RAMP. So I've assigned myself here. You could see that I'm now the owner up at the top, and it's now an internal review state. From here, the contract negotiator is going to go through and work through the agreement. So they'll make red lines to the agreement, potentially make red lines to the agreement, send those off to the sponsor. As we make red lines to the agreement, we will be updating the agreement that's been attached here by clicking revise agreement. revised agreement down here and uploading a new copy of the agreement. So you'll start to see the iterations of the agreement as it goes through the process. We'll also be using the move to internal review and move to external review to move it between with UW and with a sponsor. And we'll be logging correspondence. From what folks remember from SPO action, this is sort of that analog to that, where we'll log what we're doing by logging the SPO action in RAMP. And you'll be able to see all of that as you're going through things. If you were to click on the history tab, you can see the change log of what we've done within the record. If you want to take a look at the correspondence, you'd be able to see the history of correspondence that are out there, some of them that aren't done yet and some of them that are yet to be completed. Once RSP is done with its review and negotiation, we've come up with a final language, we will go through and click approve language, and this will then prompt up the information on how the signature process is going to work. We'll choose between a digital DocuSign signature or a wet ink. Indicate should RSP sign first, should the sponsor sign first. Does the agreement contain evergreen clauses, so clauses that extend well past the end date of the project? And we'll click OK, and that's going to actually generate the remaining things that we need on the side of RAMP to allow us. I'm giving myself a thumbs up. I'm sorry. They'll generate the rest of the things we're trying to do in RAMP to finalize this agreement record. And so now you'll see that I have the ability to send it for external signature. I indicated internal signature first, so that's not showing up here. So I can send it to external signature. That will allow me to send it to the sponsor to get it signed. I will do those things. I will move it to internal signature when it's with UW. Right now it is with internal signature because of what I selected earlier. And you'll be able to follow all this via the history tab as you see the change log. Once we get the final signed agreement, I will do one last upload of the agreement. So I'll upload the revised agreement, and it's going to change what's up here. And then I'm going to click convert to PDF. Convert to PDF basically will make us get this final agreement right here in this lower spot. And that's the official agreement that's going to then go into the record for future reference. With the final agreement attached at that point, I'm going to click activate. And then I will fill in the details about who did what in the agreement. So I'll put myself in here as I signed. If you had other people sign, you'd put that in there as well. I'll give the date of today for the internal signing date. We'll just say the sponsor signed at the same time. It was effective as of the date of signature, and we'll say it lasted 1 year. And just these are the details of what's going to go into the finalization of the record so that there's information on what this agreement entailed. Once I click OK, the agreement is now in an active state, which means it's now been finalized. And everybody, I think folks will be receiving notifications to indicate that the agreement's been finalized, and you'll know that there is now a final agreement ready to go for conversation, or material transfer, whatever you're looking to do.
Great, thank you, Bob. So there was one question from Mark. When this goes for outside signature, are they using RAMP, or how is that autograph collected? And Mark says RAMP is a tool. It's an internal tool for UW-Madison. So Bob, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, no. So we'll be doing, they'll be signing either in, if they're going to do wet ink, I'm going to email it to them or mail it to them, I guess, if that's what their preference is. Or if they're in certain countries that still require us to send by fax, I guess I would do that as well. So we'll be sending it out however it's most convenient for them. If they want to use DocuSign, we can generate a DocuSign email or a DocuSign envelope for them to use. And we've done that historically here at RSP as well. DocuSign is baked into RAMP, and we're eventually going to move towards using that more, but we haven't, really had a chance to play around with it yet. So.
Great. Thank you. All right. Well, that was the end of our scenarios, and I know we're past time, so I just wanted to thank everyone for joining us a few minutes. Yeah, we made it a few minutes over, but thanks for sticking with us. And thanks for the actors who played the roles for the different scenarios today. There was one question left here, I think, for Bob. Will contracts, do you want to read it and then answer?
Yeah, the question is, will we be reaching out to departments via email for questions regarding NFAs to the PI, or will we be using RAMP email functions for all communications? I think our goal is to try to put as much as we can into RAMP. So it'll be ancillary reviews. Most likely email agreement, I guess we might do if we have like a specific question, like for you to take a look at the agreement for. I would suspect a lot of ancillary reviews, but it also becomes a bit of a judgment call of like, do you really need to document this thing for future state, or is it just like a question that can be easily answered by picking up the phone or shooting an email? So there is definitely an element of judgment calls involved with this.
Thank you. All right. Hopefully this was helpful to see some of these processes, a higher level workflow in RAMP, and what we'll be seeing come Monday when we're in the system live, and becoming more familiar with it. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us. Thanks to Jenny, Bridget, Kate, Kedron, Bob, and Andrea for working through these different scenarios. This recording will be posted on the RAMP resources website. So if you know somebody who missed out and you want to send them to it, or you want to reference it back, you'll be able to find that there later this week. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great afternoon.